Okay, let's jump right in. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating framework developed by the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. We'll be starting off by looking at their core essay, To the Seventh Generation, Inheritance and Legacy, which was written by Dr. Susan Edwards. From there, we're going to see how her sweeping, historical perspective on human existence can literally transform the way we handle information, research, and truth in our modern lives.
So, this is the monumental question that anchors our entire journey today. What do we inherit from our ancestors, and what legacy will we leave? It's a huge concept, right? It asks us to look both backward into the past and forward into the future, and kind of demands that we step outside of our immediate day-to-day bubbles. Think about it. Every piece of knowledge, every societal structure, every environmental condition we experience today is an inheritance. And because of that, every decision we make today actively writes the legacy for those who will follow us.
To kind of set the emotional stage here, the source material draws on pop culture, specifically singer Sara Bareilles. As she beautifully captures in her lyrics, the history and the heartbeats beneath our feet in the graveyards of our ancestors are meant to inspire us. It's like a dare to move. They dare us to make our lives meaningful. We aren't just passive recipients of history. We're supposed to learn from the past, take responsibility, and, as she sings, chase the sun.
Now, this is where it gets incredibly cool. This indigenous philosophy completely expands our framework of time, connection, and responsibility. The Ojibwe, who are part of the Haudenosaunee, hold this profound belief that we are intimately connected to the very first people who walked the earth, as well as to those who are yet to be born, up to 7 generations from now. When you start making decisions with that 7th generation in mind, your perspective on what is necessary or what is true shifts dramatically.
Historian Rick Hill Sr. hits the nail on the head here. He brilliantly illustrates that we are actively serving as a critical bridge. He explains that living people are the exact connection point between ancestors and descendants. Meaning, we don't just inherit the good stuff, we inherit a strict, binding duty to the future. As Hill puts it, you don't just come here expecting to benefit, you come here to work hard so that the future can enjoy that benefit. It's a daily responsibility to preserve our culture, our land, and our knowledge.
So, we've been handed a real mixed bag, haven't we? We're navigating tremendous ancient wisdom, but also dealing with some pretty daunting environmental and social shifts that our generation must now actively grapple with. We inherit beautiful cultural traditions, for sure, but we also inherit totally unsolved problems, altered natural ecosystems, and rapidly expanding constructed environments. Figuring out how to manage this complex inheritance is absolutely vital if we want to survive to that 7th generation.
All right, let's funnel this broad philosophy down into a very practical, modern challenge outlined in Theme 4, Expressions of Truth. In a world completely overflowing with information, how do we evaluate the truth we've inherited? How do we know what's actually real? And how do we ensure we leave a legacy of accurate knowledge behind for the people coming after us?
Well, before we can find the truth, we really have to recognize that our modern society is heavily fractured by these constructed divides. Whether it's rural versus urban, past versus present, male versus female, these categories deeply influence our loyalties. They create highly specific cultural lenses through which we view the world. And honestly, those lenses dictate how we perceive information and interpret other people's expressions of truth. I want you to actively reflect on that for a second. Think about how these various cultural and social lenses might be distorting the knowledge you consume every single day. When we receive our inheritance of knowledge, it doesn't just arrive perfectly clean in a vacuum. It's colored by the biases of the people who recorded it, and then it's filtered through our own personal divides. Understanding that is step number 1 in true academic inquiry.
So the crucial point here is that we must actively build a defense against that distortion. This brings us to a highly practical application, using the academic tool of information literacy to cut through the noise and preserve actual facts. Information literacy isn't just about passing a college class. Actually, scratch that, it's way bigger than that. It's about creating a reliable legacy of truth for future students. It's exactly how we honor our duty as that bridge we talked about earlier.
To put this into practice, let's look at an Honors and Action sample project, straight from the source material. This project focuses entirely on the methodology of research in climate science. Now, climate change is a textbook inherited issue, a massive alteration of our natural environment handed down to us. But this project asks a really brilliant question. How might students evaluate this inherited body of knowledge to create a legacy of information literacy? And I want to be super clear here. It is absolutely critical to note that we are focusing impartially on the rigorous process of vetting sources rather than taking a political stance on the science itself. The goal of this research objective is to look at how information is constructed. To truly map the landscape of truth, researchers have to collect and examine works supporting the mainstream scientific positions right alongside the ones that vehemently oppose them. We are mapping the debate, not joining it. By following these 3 concrete steps outlined in the project, you totally transform from a passive consumer of media into an active, objective investigator of truth. Step 1, you gather everything from all sides. Step 2, you categorize the major arguments and attribute them to their specific sources. And Step 3, you rigorously examine the validity of those sources using strict academic standards. You ask the hard questions. Are they peer-reviewed? What are their credentials? Where exactly is their funding coming from?
Then, by mapping these argument source groups side by side, we gain a crystal clear, unbiased understanding of exactly which institutions are backing which claims. This is where the magic of information literacy really happens. You start to see the hidden architecture of the arguments. You learn to detach your emotional loyalties from those constructed divides we talked about, and instead you look purely at the structural integrity of the info in front of you.
Why does this matter for you right now? Because mastering this rigorous research process builds the analytical skills you absolutely need for all your advanced academic and career pursuits. By willingly examining viewpoints that might not align with your own, you just become a stronger scholar. You learn how to properly vet sources, draw sound conclusions, and actually initiate real-world problem solving. That's the ultimate goal of the whole Honors in Action framework.
When you commit to preserving the legacy of academic inquiry today, you are literally protecting the integrity of knowledge for those stepping into the world generations from now. It's a powerful reminder of vulnerability and new beginnings. When we champion information literacy, we are ensuring that this new life, the 7th generation, inherits a world where truth can still be reliably discovered and understood.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought, drawn directly from our exploration today. As the living bridge between the past and the unborn, how will your expressions of truth shape the world they inherit? Because the knowledge we pass down is just as critical as the earth we leave behind. Keep chasing the sun, keep questioning your sources, and keep building that bridge.